Hello all, welcome to the Narayana Group paper discussion session. So this is Javed, chemistry faculty from Super China branch, Hyderabad. So today I am going to discuss chemistry part of this September attempt paper which was held on 2nd September. So this is a memory based paper. So in this paper there may be some mistakes or some changes there may be there in the options. If any mistake is there, I may let you know. Okay. So we'll start our paper discussion. So the first question. So the first question is based on the properties of ether. So the compound is given with molecular formula C9H10O. So this is reacted with HI, producing two compounds A and B. A is giving yellow precipitate with silver nitrate, B is showing positive iodoform test after tautomerization. So it is asked to identify the compound given with molecular formula C9H10O. Now if we observe these structures 1, 2, 3, 4, we will see the common feature that there are 9 carbons, 10 hydrogen and oxygen. So all these structures given in options 1, 2, 3, 4 are satisfying the given molecular formula. So we will try to write the products of reaction of this compound with HI by taking the options one after the other. So if I take first option, so in first option the reactant is PH CH2O CH double bond CH2. So this is reacted with HI. So on reaction with HI, so here we can see that there are two compounds. One of them is giving iodoform test after tautomerization. So that means one of the product is enol. Now you can get an idea that if you protonate this oxygen from hydrogen of HI, we will get this intermediate. On this intermediate, I minus attacks to produce the products PHCH2I and the CH2 double bond CHOH. So now this enol is less stable than its ketone form. Keto form, it will tautomerize to produce CH3CHO. So now if we take this first compound, that is benzyl iodide when reacted with aqueous silver nitrate AgNO3, so it can form a stable carbocation, that is benzyl carbocation. So this will undergo SN1 reaction in aqueous silver nitrate to produce PHCH2 plus I minus. This PHCH2 plus will react with the solvent water to produce benzyl alcohol, that is PHCH2OH. This I minus will react with Ag plus of silver nitrate to produce AgI precipitate. So we know that AgI is an yellow precipitate. So this product is satisfying the first condition, that is giving precipitate with silver nitrate. So this should be the product A. Now the second product, which is acetaldehyde, is showing positive iodoform test. So positive iodoform test is given by the carbonyl compounds which contains the CH3 group like this. So if any CH3 group is there attached to carbonyl group, CO group, that can give the positive iodoform test. So this R can be hydrogen or any alkyl or aryl group. So when this reacted with iodine in presence of alkali, it will produce CHI3, which is an yellow precipitate. So iodoform test is given by the acetaldehyde. Hence the given conditions are satisfied by the compound which is given in option A. So A is correct answer for this question. So we'll move to the next question. So next question is based on electrophilic substitution of aromatic compound. So here it is a phenol derivative. So in this we can see that there is OH group attached to benzene ring, and there is NO2 group and methyl group. We know that this phenol group is plus M group, NO2 group is minus M group. Okay. So this will activate the ring for the electrophilic substitution reaction. NO2 will deactivate this ring towards the electrophilic substitution reaction. So here OH is ortho para director, but NO2 is meta director. Okay. So when this reacted with HNO3 H2SO4, this is a nitrating mixture. This nitrating mixture will produce NO2 plus. So we have the different position available for the attack of NO2 on this aromatic ring. What are those? This position or this position. So whenever there are two groups, which is activating group and deactivating group, the activating group will decide the orientation of electrophile. So whenever there is a plus M group and minus M group meta to each other, so the incoming electrophile will get attacked by this benzene at para position to the activating group. Hence, in the product will have, so the product will be, so benzene ring CH3 NO2 OH. This NO2 incoming electrophile will come at the para position to OH group. So OH and NO2 opposite, NO2 2 are adjacent to each other. So that option is given here, CH3 NO2. So in option A, so CH3 so in option C we can see that this product is given. So in third option, so third option is correct answer for this question. Okay. So now we move to the next question. So this question is again based on properties of alkyl halides. In this question, a tertiary alkyl bromide is given. Two reactions of tertiary alkyl bromide is given. One with aqueous sodium hydroxide, other is with ethyl alcohol in presence of a base. Now we can see that here the products are, so in first case it is tertiary butyl alcohol, in second case it is alkene. Now in first case this tertiary butyl bromide will show SN1 reaction because it is nucleophilic substitution reaction. Tertiary alkyl halide shows the SN1 reaction. In second case, this reaction is a elimination reaction. So it is an E2 reaction because strong base is there. In presence of strong base, E2 reaction takes place. So now here it is given that rate of first reaction depends only on the alkyl bromide. Rate of second reaction depends on both alkyl bromide as well as the base OH minus. So now we can see that from rate law, so first reaction, the rate of reaction depends only on concentration of alkyl bromide. In second reaction, the rate of reaction depends on both concentration of alkyl bromide as well as base OH minus. So now it is asked which of the statement is correct about the reactions 1 and 2. So if you see the first reaction, rate of reaction 1 remain unchanged if concentration of OH minus is increased. So this is a correct statement because here there is in rate law there is no OH minus involved. So rate doesn't depend on the concentration of OH minus. So we can mark the first option and we'll move to the next question. So next question is based on the acidic strength of different groups present in a molecule. So here we need to find the correct order of acidic strength. Now if you see in this group, in this molecule, there are different groups. One is carboxylic acid, second one is phenol, and other is alkyne. Now if you take the different acidic strength of different groups, so carboxylic acid RC double bond OH, phenol, and RC triple bond CH. So in these three, carboxylic acids are stable because their conjugate base, that is carboxylate ion, is more stabilized by resonance because of equivalent resonating structures and negative charge is present on oxygen in both the resonating structures. Whereas if we take the phenol on losing H plus ion, it will produce phenoxide ion. So if you write the resonating structure of phenoxide ion, so we will get the negative charge on the carbon like this C minus. So as phenoxide is less stable than carboxylate, so carboxylic acid is more acidic compared to the phenol. So alkyne is less acidic compared to the phenol because on losing H plus it will form RC triple bond C minus where the negative charge is present on carbon. So now we can see that the correct order for the acidic strength is carboxylic acid, phenol and alkyne RC triple bond CH. So in this we can see that B is most acidic. So given in the given compound, group B is more acidic. So here there are two phenolic groups. In the phenolic group, so on the OH group which is labeled as C, so nitro group is at para position. Hence the phenoxide ion produced here will be stabilized by resonance effect of NO2. So here NO2 is acting as minus M group, minus M for the OH which is present at para position. That means the phenoxide produced at the para position is stabilized by minus M effect of NO2, whereas the phenoxide cannot be stabilized by resonance effect of the NO2 at the position A. Hence C is more acidic compared to A. So we will get the order as B because it is carboxylate, C because it is phenoxide which has NO2 group at para position, then A which is again phenoxide which is not stabilized by minus M effect of NO2, then finally alkyne D. So that is BCAD, that is given in option 2. Okay. So now we will move to the next question. So again next question is based on again elimination reactions of alkyl halides. In this, two halide groups are given, one is fluoride, other is bromide. So on adding alcoholic OH, it undergoes elimination reaction to produce alkene. Now we can see that Br is a better leaving group compared to fluoride. So bromide will be eliminated in the form of HBr. So in the product, bromine won't be there. So either 3 or 4 will be the correct option. Okay. So now we know that elimination reaction E2 is a elimination of alkyl halide follows E2 mechanism. So now if we write this reactant given here, so we have fluorine, hydrogen here and bromine. So we can take this reactant like this. So now here beta elimination takes place. This is alpha carbon, this is beta carbon, this is alpha carbon, this is also beta carbon. So here there are two beta hydrogens are there, but during the elimination reaction the major product is formed by abstraction of more acidic hydrogen. So as there is a fluorine on this carbon which is an electron withdrawing group, this hydrogen is more acidic, that will be abstracted by the base OH minus. Okay. So this will abstract this H plus and forms double bond here. This bromide group is removed. So we'll get a product like this where fluorine is present on a carbon which is doubly bonded. So now this option is given in, this product is given in option 3. So 3 is correct answer. Okay. So we'll move to the next question. So this question is based on the identification of the products obtained by hydrolysis of sucrose. Sucrose when hydrolyzed is forming two products A and B. So to this product mixture Selivanov's reagent is added. So what is asked here, what is the color of the product obtained in the reaction? So here Selivanov's test is used for the identification of aldoses and ketoses. So ketoses will give this reaction instantaneously. So ketoses and aldoses can be distinguished or identified by this test. So in ketose, if we add Selivanov's test, Selivanov's reagent, so it will produce a red coloration. So aldoses, when Selivanov's reagent is added, it will produce pink color. The difference is ketose will give this red color instantaneously because it undergoes dehydration easily and forms a furfural derivative which further react with resorcinol in presence of acidic medium to give a red color compound. So now if sucrose is hydrolyzed, it will form two products. One is the fructose and the glucose. So Selivanov's reagent contains resorcinol plus concentrated HCl. So when resorcinol and concentrated HCl is added and heated, the ketoses give the red color instantaneously, whereas aldoses gives the pink color after some time. So now when we hydrolyze the sucrose, we got fructose which is a ketose and glucose which is aldose, and adding Selivanov's reagent and heating, it will produce red color immediately. Now we can see that the red color is given in the first option, so we can mark the first option for this question. Okay. So we will move to the next question. So the next compound is based on properties of the carbonyl compounds. So in this question, two acyclic compounds A and B are given. Two acyclic compounds are given with molecular formula C3H6O. So A and B react with CH3MgBr and gives the product C and D. C and D have given the following information. So C is giving negative iodoform test, D is giving positive iodoform test. So C is giving instantaneous positive Lucas test, whereas D is giving Lucas test after 5 minutes. Okay. So now we can see that this C3H6O has one double bond equivalent. So with C3H6O we can write the two products. One is CH3 CH2 C double bond OH, that is an aldehyde, or we can write a ketone, that is CH3 C double bond O CH3. So now if you take these two compounds, if it is reacted with the methyl magnesium bromide CH3MgBr, so this will show a nucleophilic addition reaction on the carbonyl group. So it will produce CH3CH2 CHO minus CH3, which on for subsequent hydrolysis produces what? CH3CH2 CHOH CH3. So similarly, if you take acetone reacting with CH3 MgBr, so it will show the nucleophilic addition reaction, and further hydrolysis it will produce CH3 COH CH3 and CH3. So now we need to identify which compound is C and which is D. So C is giving negative iodoform test. So here if we take in these two compounds which will give the positive iodoform test. So positive iodoform test is given by secondary alcohols which have the methyl group attached to the carbon adjacent to OH group. So this part will get converted to iodoform CHI3. So this will give positive iodoform test. So hence we can take this as D. Now this can be C. So if you check the other given condition, so D is giving positive iodoform test, so this will give positive iodoform test. This is giving negative iodoform test because it is not a secondary alcohol with CH3 group attached to carbon adjacent to OH group, so this won't give positive iodoform test. So second condition is C is giving instantaneous positive test with the positive result with Lucas test. So Lucas test is given by alcohols. The test is given immediately if it is a tertiary alcohol, because tertiary carbocation formed is stable, so that will react easily with Lucas reagent. So hence it is following this second, obeying the second condition also. So if you take D, D is giving Lucas test after 5 minutes. So Lucas test is given by secondary alcohol after 5 to 10 minutes because the carbocation formed is not so stable. So now we can see that, so C and D. So C is a acetone molecule, product produced from acetone. D is product produced by the aldehyde. So now we can see here that, so C is tertiary alcohol. So that is tertiary alcohol is given here, C, and D is a secondary alcohol. So second option we can mark for this question. Okay. So we'll move to the next question. So the next question is based on the kinetics. So in this question, a reaction is given, that is 2A plus B is giving C. So for this reaction, following experimental data was collected. So here there are 5 data is given. One is concentration of A, concentration of B, and rate of reaction. So from this we need to calculate the concentration of A, that is given as X, and Y, that is concentration of B. So here first we will derive a rate law for this equation. Okay. So rate law for this reaction. So if I take the rate of reaction as K constant into concentration of A, if order with respect to A is P and order with respect to B is Q. So R equal to K into A power P into B power Q. So first we will calculate what are the values of P and Q. So for that, if you take the first data from experiment 1, so what is the rate of reaction? That is 6 into 10 power minus 3 is equal to K into 0.1 power P into 0.1 power Q. So just substituting the concentration of A and B. So if you take the second data given in experiment 2, that is, I can write this as 12 into 10 power minus 3 is equal to K into 0.2 power P and 0.1 power Q. So here, if we divide these two, that is, if we divide 2 by 1, so what will get? So 2 is equal to 2 power P. From this we can write P is equal to 1. So if you take the other data given in the question, that is data 3. what we can write? A rate that is 24 into 10 power minus 3 is equal to rate constant k into 0.1 power p into 0.2 power q. Okay. So, if we divide the equation 3 with 1, if we divide the equation 3 with 1, we will get, so that is 24 by 6, 4 is equal to 2 power q. So, from this we will get q is equal to 2. So, therefore, we can write the rate of this reaction as R is equal to k into a power 1 and b square, first order with respect to a and second order with respect to b. So, now if you take the data 4 which is given here, from this we can write, from 4 we can write rate that is 7.2, that is 72 into 10 power minus 3 is equal to k into x power 1, that is 0.2 raised to 2. So, we need to calculate the value of x. To calculate the value of x, if you divide 4 by 3, if we divide 4 by 3, so what do we get? 72 by 24 is equal to, so we will get x by 0.1. From this we will get x value as 0.3. So, similarly, if I take the last experiment data, that is 5th one. So, from 5th I can write that, so rate that is 288 into 10 power minus 3 is equal to k into 0.3 into y square. So, to calculate y value, if you divide 5 by 1, so that will be 288 into 10 raised to minus 3 divided by 6 into 10 power minus 3 is equal to 0.3 into y square divided by 0.1 into 0.1 square. So, if you solve this, we will get y as 0.4. So, we need to calculate what is the value of x and value of y. X is 0.3 and y is 0.4. So, that is given in the option 2. Okay. So, we will move to the next question. So, this question is based on atomic structure. Here it is asked number of subshells having n is equal to 4 and n is equal to minus 2. So, here if we take the n value 4, n is equal to 4. So, for any n value given, L values possible are 0, 1, 2 up to n minus 1. If n is equal to 4, L values possible are 0, 1, 2, 3 are possible. So, L0 means it is F subshell, this is P subshell, this is D subshell and this is F subshell. So, now for given L value, M values, that is magnetic quantum number, are possible from minus L including 0 to plus L. So, if L is equal to 0, M value is 0. If L is equal to 1, M is minus 1, 0 and plus 1. if L is equal to 2, M is equal to -2, -1, 0, +1 and +2. If L is equal to 3, M values are -3, -2, -1, 0, +1, +2 and +3. So we can see that there are only two orbitals, that is d subshell and f subshell with m value -2. Okay. So the number of subshells having n is equal to 2 and m equal to -2 are 2. So we can mark option 1 for this question. Okay, we'll move to the next question. So this is depending on the adsorption. It is asked which statement is correct when adsorption of gas takes place on the metal surface. So first statement, if you take, the delta H becomes less negative with the progression of adsorption. With progress of reaction, the strength of residual forces increases. Second statement. Third statement is ammonia is adsorbed more than N2. Equilibrium concentration of adsorbate increases with increase in temperature. So first of all, if you take the adsorption, in adsorption if you take the adsorbent which is a solid, on this solid the gas molecules are getting adsorbed. Now if you take any molecule in the bulk, it will get attracted in all the directions to a same extent. So residual forces present on the molecule which is present in the bulk of the adsorbent is 0. But if you take any molecule of adsorbent which is present at the surface, will get attracted by the molecules which are present in the bulk of the solid only. Hence it has some residual forces. So to decrease the residual forces, the solid will adsorb the gaseous molecules on its surface. Okay. So now if you take the second statement, with progress of reaction, the strength of residual forces increases. So what happens if any gas molecules are getting adsorbed here? So this residual forces will get balanced. So residual forces will decrease. So we can say that the option B is not correct. Now if we take the adsorption, adsorption is the exothermic process because the residual forces are decreased, so potential energy of solid surface decreases and the decreased energy is released as heat. So delta H is negative for this process. So as the adsorption is happening on this solid surface, with the time what happens, the residual forces will decrease due to adsorption. As residual forces are decreased with the time, the heat released will decrease. Hence what happens, delta H becomes less negative with the progression of this adsorption. So this is the correct statement. Now if we take ammonia and N2, which will get adsorbed more. So ammonia and N2, so ammonia has more critical temperature. So critical temperature of ammonia is more than N2. So that means ammonia has more intermolecular force of attraction due to its large size. So if large size is there, intermolecular force of attractions are more, it can get adsorbed more on the solid surface. So its adsorption extent is much more compared to the nitrogen gas. Hence this statement is correct. So if more the critical temperature, more are intermolecular force of attraction and more is the adsorption. So last statement, that is equilibrium concentration of adsorbate increases with increase in temperature. So if temperature is increased, what happens? The gas molecules which are getting adsorbed on the surface will desorb. The process will be going in reverse direction. So amount of substance which is adsorbed on the solid surface will decrease with increase in temperature. Hence this statement is incorrect. So we can see that A and C are correct statements. So we can mark option 1 for this question. So we'll move to the next question. Next question is based on S block. There are two elements A and B. So elements A and B. do not form solid bicarbonate but react with nitrogen to form nitrides. So, what are elements A and B? Now, if you take in the group 1, only lithium doesn't form the bicarbonate in solid state. Other elements sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium forms the solid bicarbonates. So, whereas in second group, so beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium, all these elements don't form the bicarbonate in solid state because due to their high hydration enthalpy, they don't crystallize. So, lithium bicarbonate, and if you take all second group bicarbonate don't exist in solid state. Now, if you check the options, only option 1 has the lithium and magnesium, whereas here both first group elements are there. Here first group element cesium is there, here first group element sodium is there other than lithium. Hence, the second, third, fourth option cannot be correct for this question. So, if you take the second one, so what is second condition here? The second condition is when these elements are reacted with nitrogen, they are forming their corresponding nitrides. So, in first group only lithium react with nitrogen to produce lithium nitride. Due to its small size, it can stabilize the nitride ion, whereas all second group elements can react with nitrogen to form nitride. So, magnesium can react with nitrogen to produce magnesium nitride on heating. So, other first group elements except lithium cannot form the nitride, only lithium form nitride in first group. So, these two conditions are satisfied by the lithium and magnesium forming bicarbonate in solid state and do not form, the A and B are not forming bicarbonate in solid state and forming nitride on heating. Hence, this option 1 can be the correct answer. So, we will move to the next question. Next question is based on the structure of the fluorides of sulfur. So, here two molecules are given, one is SF4, second one is SF6 and SF4, SF6 and SF4. Here structure of SF6 is given, which is octahedral. What is the structure of SF4 with lone pairs? Now, we can see that sulfur has 6 electrons. In 6 electrons of sulfur, 4 electrons are used for the sigma bonds. So, 1 lone pair is there. So, 4 sigma bonds and 1 lone pair is present on sulfur. So, 4 sigma bonds and 1 lone pair means steric number is 5. Now, it will have the sp3d hybridization. If it is sp3d hybridization, so we will have the trigonal bipyramidal shape, but there is a one lone pair. So, shape of SF4 is seesaw, but its geometry is trigonal bipyramidal. So, including lone pairs, the structure of the molecule is trigonal bipyramidal. So, 1 is correct answer. So, we will move to the next question. So, cast iron is used for the production of. So, we know that hematite is used for the production of pig iron. So, hematite is Fe2O3. Fe2O3 by carbon reduction method, first it is converted to pig iron. So, pig iron has 4% of carbon as the impurity. So, this pig iron is further converted to cast iron, which has the 3% of carbon impurity. So, the cast iron further can be converted to the purest form of iron, which is wrought iron as well as steel. So, cast iron can be used to produce wrought iron as well as steel. So, that is given in option 1. Okay. So we'll move to the next question. So next question is, which of the following cannot show isomerism? So if we take the first molecule, that is Ni NH3 twice Cl2. So here nickel is plus 2, Ni plus 2. Ni plus 2 means D8. So D8 can form a tetrahedral or square planar complex. Square planar complex is possible with only strong field ligand, like very strong field like ligand with like cyanide. So in this case, it is a tetrahedral molecule. So like Ni NH3, NH3, Cl and Cl. So this cannot show geometrical isomerism or any other type of isomerism, because if you interchange the positions of the ligands, the angle will be 109 degrees 28 minutes only. Hence this cannot show geometrical isomerism. So this can be the correct answer for this question if you check the other options. So second option is Ni En thrice 2 plus. So this is an octahedral complex. So this octahedral complex has 3 bidentate ligand ethylene diamine. So this can show optical isomerism because there is no plane of symmetry in this molecule. If you take the third complex, that is PTNH3 twice Cl2, this is a square planar complex. This can show geometrical isomerism where NH3 groups can be 90 degrees to each other, or the NH3 groups can be 180 degrees to each other. One is cis isomer, other is trans isomer. So this is showing optical isomerism, this is showing geometrical isomerism. Now if you take the last one, that is NiNH34 H2O twice, NiNH34 H2O twice. Now this can also show geometrical isomerism where we can have the water molecules 90 degrees to each other or 180 degrees to each other. So we can draw two structures like Ni, NH3, NH3, OH2, OH2, NH3, NH3. Or we can draw the other structure Ni, NH3, NH3, OH2, OH2 like this. So here this last molecule is showing geometrical isomerism. Now we can see that the first one, that is NiNH3 twice Cl2, is a tetrahedral complex. It cannot show any type of isomerism. So first option we can mark for this question. So we'll move to the next question. So here again structure of XeF5 minus and XeO3F2 are asked. Xenon is a 18 group element. It has 8 valence electrons. So it is Xe minus. So we can see that there is 5 lone pairs and 5 bond pairs, and 2 lone pairs in XeF5 minus. So if you take XeO3F2, there are 5 bond pairs. So 5 bond pairs and 2 lone pairs, it is sp3d3 hybridized. So 5 bond pairs means it is sp3d hybridized. Okay. So in this case, there are 2 lone pairs. If sp3d3, it should be pentagonal bipyramidal. So, but there are two lone pairs. To minimize the repulsions, the lone pairs are placed at axial positions. So, 5 fluorines are present at the equatorial positions. So, this XeF5 minus has pentagonal planar structure, whereas XeO3F2 it is sp3d, it should have trigonal bipyramidal structure, where the double bonds are placed at equatorial position to minimize the repulsions. So, it has trigonal bipyramidal structure. So, the structure of XeF minus is pentagonal planar and the structure of XeO3F2 is trigonal bipyramidal. So, we can mark option 1 for this question. So, if you move to the next question, the next question is based on intermolecular force of attractions. Okay, we can find this, the data of the different intermolecular force of attraction variation with the distance between the molecules or ions in the states of matter. So, here the ion-ion dipole interactions are inversely proportional to the distance between the ions. The dipole-dipole interactions are inversely proportional to the cube root of r. So, London dispersion forces are inversely proportional to 6 power of r. So, we can see that the 1 matches with A, 2 matches with C and 3 matches with D, that is A, C, D. So, that option is again given in first option. So, I will move to the next question. So, this question is based on crystal field theory. Here there are 3 wavelengths are given, that is wavelength A, lambda B and lambda C, and 3 complexes are given, FeNS3, FeF6 and FeNCS with some oxidation state N of the iron. So, here we should assign this lambda wavelength observed for the electronic transition to these different complexes. So, this is based on the strength of the ligands. What are the ligands? NS3, F minus and NCS. According to the spectrochemical series, the strength of these ligands, follows the order NH3 is more than NCS minus is more than F minus. If strength of this ligand is more, crystal field splitting will be more. If crystal field splitting is more, the energy absorbed will be more. Energy absorbed is more if crystal field splitting is more. Crystal field splitting is more if strength of the ligand is more. So, if we can say that the lambda absorbed is more if crystal field splitting is less. So, now we can see that if the strength of the ligand is more, crystal field splitting will be more, energy absorbed is more, or wavelength will be less. Now, in this 3, FeF6 minus 6 and plus n, F minus is weak field ligand, so it will absorb more wavelength. Okay. So, more wavelength is given here for lambda C. So, this will match with the lambda C, and FeNH3 6n plus ammonia is strong field ligand, it will absorb less wavelength, that is lambda A. So, C will absorb the wavelength corresponding to lambda B. Now, here we can see that A is lambda A, B is lambda C and C is lambda B. Okay. So, that we can see in option 3. Okay. So, we will move to the next question. Here this is the question based on the osmosis. So, there is a concentrated salt solution in which the mango is added. This is undergoing decrease in volume. or it is shrinking. So, which of the following is observed in this process? Now, we know that osmosis is the process in which the solvent through a semi-permeable membrane, solvent will pass from low concentrated solution to high concentrated solution. Okay. So, the water molecules from mango will pass into the concentrated solution, hence it will shrink. So, the process involved here is osmosis. So, we can mark osmosis, that is third option. Okay. So, we'll move to the next question. Next question is when household chemical used for the cleaning fell on hands, which chemical should be used to remove it? So, this household which is used for the cleaning will have the acid. So, to neutralize the acid, we should use the alkaline solution. So, we should use alkaline solution. So, here the alkaline solutions are NaHCO3, NaOH and ammonia. Vinegar is acetic acid, it is acid, it should not be used. So, NaHCO3 and sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide is corrosive in nature. So, we should not use sodium hydroxide. So, ammonia is weak base. So, generally it is not used. NaHCO3, which is strongly alkaline, can be used to neutralize the acid. So, option A is correct for this question. So, we will move to the next question. Here this is based on the electrochemistry, in which the cell reaction is given, or reaction is given, that is Cu plus giving copper and Cu plus 2. So, equilibrium constant for this reaction we need to determine. Okay. So, here if you write this reaction, that is Cu plus Cu plus is giving copper plus Cu plus 2. For this reaction we can write the Nernst equation, that is E cell is equal to E naught cell, that is E naught copper plus 1 to copper plus 2 plus E naught copper plus 2 copper minus RT by NF ln Q. Q is reaction quotient, that is concentration of copper plus 2 by concentration of copper plus 1 whole square. So, here now we can see that E naught of copper plus 1 to copper plus 2. So, copper plus 2 to copper plus 1, it is given as 0.16. So, this value will become minus 0.16 plus copper plus 2 copper is given as 0.52 minus RT by F is given as 0.025. N is number of electrons involved in the reaction. Here one electron is involved, one copper plus 1 lose 1 electron, other will gain 1 electron. So, N is equal to 1. So, at equilibrium E cell is 0, this Q becomes equilibrium constant K. So, ln K. Okay. Here we need to calculate ln K value. So, from this, if you calculate the log value, we will get ln K as 0.36 by 0.025, that is equal to 14.4, but it should be represented as some x into 10 power minus 1. So, that we can write it as 144 into 10 power minus 1. So, this ln K value will become what? 144. Okay. So we'll move to the next question. The next question, there is an acyclic compound having the mass ratio of carbon and hydrogen 4:1 and carbon and oxygen 3:4 ratio. So it is asked number of moles of O2 is required for 2 moles of compound to give CO2 and water. First we need to determine the molecular formula of this compound. So here's carbon and hydrogen mass ratio is given as 4:1, that we can write it as 12:3. So and carbon and oxygen mass ratio is given as 3:4, that we can write it as 12:16. So that means mass ratios of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, we can write the mass ratios as 12, 3 and 16. So we can calculate number of moles of this carbon, hydrogen and oxygen by dividing with their atomic weights. This becomes 1, 3, 1. So we can write the empirical formula for this compound is CH3O. CH3O is empirical formula. Now we need to determine the molecular formula. So this is given as a saturated acyclic compound. Saturated acyclic compound with oxygen will have the formula CN H2N plus 2 some O Y. Now if we take the empirical formula as CH3O, we can write molecular formula as CX H3X OX. So from this we can write that X equal to N and 3X is equal to 2N plus 2. From this we will get X value is 2. So therefore we can write this formula as C2H6O2. This is the molecular formula of the compound. This compound is reacted with oxygen gas. So that is C2H6O2 is reacted with acyclic compound is reacted with O2. C2H6O2 when reacted with O2 gas is producing 2 moles of CO2 plus 3 moles of H2O. Okay. So when we balance this equation, we will get the 5/2 moles of O2. From this balanced equation, we can see that 1 mole of this compound is requiring 5/2 moles of O2 for complete combustion. 2 moles will require 5 moles of O2. So here it is asked 1 mole of compound is combusted completely with how many moles of O2. So this will require 5 moles for complete combustion. So the correct answer for this question is 5. So we'll move to the next question. Next question is question number 23. This is based on the photoelectric effect. So in this photoelectric effect, there is a metal surface. On the metal surface, when light is radiated, it will eject the electrons. The work function of this metal is given. The work function is 4.41 into 10 power minus 19 and wavelength of light used for this, which is falling on this metal surface, is 300 nanometer. Then we need to calculate what is the maximum kinetic energy of the photons emitted, photoelectrons emitted. So we can write that according to photoelectric effect, incident energy E is equal to work function plus the kinetic energy of the ejected electrons. So from this we can write incident energy is hc upon lambda plus work function plus kinetic energy. So kinetic energy becomes H value is given as 6.63 into 10 power minus 34 into 3 into 10 power 8, that is divided by 300 into 10 power minus 9 minus 4.41 into 10 power minus 19. This upon solving will get 6.63 into 10 power minus 19 minus 4.41 into 10 power minus 19. So, if you subtract this 6.63, 4.41 from 6.63, we will get 2.22. So, this is equal to 2.22 into 10 power minus 19. This we can write it as 222 into 10 power minus 21. So, the kinetic energy of the ejected electrons is given as some value into 10 power minus 21 joules. So, that will be equal to 222. Okay. So, we will move to the next question. So, next question is based on the oxidation state of the compounds, elements in this compound K2Cr2O7, KMnO4 and K2FeO4. So, by taking the oxidation state of potassium +1 and oxygen -2, we can calculate the oxidation state of chromium in K2Cr27 is +6, manganese in KMnO4 is +7, iron in K2FeO4 is +6. Okay. So, the sum of the oxidation state of the chromium, manganese and iron in this compound will be how much? It will be 19. Okay. So, we will move to the next question. In the next question, heat of combustion of ethanol to give CO2 and water is given at constant pressure. Then it is asked to calculate the heat evolved at constant volume. Okay. So, the heat of a reaction at constant pressure is delta H. We need to calculate heat of the reaction at constant volume, that is delta U. So, delta H and delta U are related as delta H equal to delta U plus delta NGRT. So, ethanol is a liquid C2H5OH liquid. When reacted with O2, it will produce 2CO2 plus 3H2O. Okay. So, right side we have 7 oxygens, left side 1 already there. So, to balance this equation we need 3O2. Okay. So, oxygen is gas, carbon dioxide is gas, water is liquid at 27 degrees. So, here in this reaction delta Ng, that is number of moles of gaseous products minus number of moles of gaseous reactant, that is 2 minus 3 is equal to -1. So, we can calculate delta U as delta H plus RT, where delta Ng is -1. So, if you substitute these values, so here the heat released at constant volume is asked in calories. So, delta H, if you can convert into calories from kilocalories, it will be 327,000 plus R in calories is 2, temperature is 300. So, if you subtract this, we will get -326400. Subtract 600 from this value, we will get -326400. So, heat evolved at constant volume, we can write 324,326,400. Okay. So, these are the questions, the chemistry part in this question paper. Thank you.